Okay, friends, I have made a deep dive into uh, pre-charged pneumatic rifles. Now, these are all pellet rifles. I like to lean towards the 25 caliber. You can't see it, but 6.5 millimeter is my choice. 6 millimeter is ideal. Anything from 6 millimeter to 7 millimeter, I'm a fan of that. It's mainly because of the ballistic coefficient. You do not have the wind drift with a 243, 6.5, 270, 7 millimeter. You don't have the wind drift there that you do with a 30 caliber. And when you are shooting those, you're anywhere from 100 up to possibly 160, 170 grain projectile, and it's heavy enough to where you get the stability, you get the distance, and you get the reduced wind drift on it, which is going to play into your overall ballistic coefficient. 25 caliber pellet, not much different. Now you're a little bit smaller, quite a bit, substantially lighter, right? You're at 25 grains, 30 grains on the slugs, but you still have a pretty solid ballistic coefficient on these slugs, especially. But I've found the same with pellets. I'm dead on. If you see my Sidewinder video, it's sub 1, and it's impressive. I'm leaving somewhere around 1,000 feet per second, probably just under that. 950 to 1,000, and I'm dead on. It's great. It's great. But I bought a Hatsan. I called when I first started this venture. I called and I spoke with Hajimoto, and I said, "Hey, what kind of modifications do you guys do to the Hatsan? I'm looking into buying a PCP." He says, "We don't deal with Hatsan." Okay, why? He says, because you cannot reach the manufacturer, you don't get any response, you don't really get much support. You just send it back and they'll send you a remanufactured, refurbished rifle, or you send it back and they'll repair it, or you send it back and they'll send you a brand new one if you have problems with a new one. He said, but as far as talking to them and having any kind of conversation with them, that is not existent. Now, Hatsan makes some very good quality shotguns, firearms, stocks, all of your best stocks in the world. Some of them, come from Turkey, so they're a very reputable company. So I broke down. I bought a Hatsan Blitz in a 25. I will tell you, it's a heavy ass gun. 11 pounds, and that's just with nothing but the scope on it. You see what I've done to this? Let me tell you the story. I get the thing, and I take it out, open sights, and it took me, okay, let me start over. I pulled my Sidewinder out of the box, put a scope on it that was 25 years old, probably cost me $25 brand new, put 4 rounds through the rifle, and I was zeroed at 20 yards, and backed up to 40 yards, and I was dead on, right then and there, just like that. I would say under 10 rounds, I was zeroed with my Sidewinder. This, open sights, 10 yards, it took me 20 rounds to get it zeroed. And then I go to my buddy's house and we're shooting at 60. And I can't hit paper. And granted, they're the smaller targets, but we're at 60 yards and I've got like 5 of them set up. And I'm like, I'm I'm just not hitting. I can't see it. And I get up 10 yards, fire it. Okay, I'm centered. I back up, and I think at that point I may have added the scope to it at that point. Anyway, uh, I put a scope on it, and still it was all over the place. When I did get it zeroed, it was zeroed and it held, and then I'd set the thing down, and I'd pick it back up again, and it'd be off. And I thought, man, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And it's not, it shouldn't be the rifle. The rifle's dead on. I was dead nuts. What's drifting? And then I got to looking. I brought the gun home, put it on my bench, and I got to looking it over. And I'll tell you what the problem is. This piece of shit right here. This comes on the rifle. So it comes on mounted like that, right? And that's your iron sights. Well, I want to tell you, if you look, you see how much movement's in that, right? You think, oh, well, once it's on the gun, it's solid. It's not. The damn thing moves. I don't care how much you're going to tighten it. It's going to move. This is not okay. This thing needs to go in the trash. I'm just going to hang mine on the ceiling, and it'll stay in the shop forever. It'll never go back on this rifle. So the moment, and this is just a cheap-ass 3x9, I think, variable. Cheap scope, but I take this thing out. I zeroed it at 10 yards. I backed up to 20 yards, and then I stretched it out to 50 yards. And I haven't, once I locked it in, I didn't make a single adjustment on it. It's dead on. I haven't stretched to 100. Of course, this is a 3,000 psi rifle. So it's probably coming out of the barrel around 800 feet per second, which is fine. It is just fine. You can still shoot slugs with it just fine. What do I not like about it? Other than that stupid piece of shit rail that they put on, I don't like the fact that it's 11 pounds. I don't like the fact that it's only got one screw holding the stock on. That bothers me. That stock should be a little more stable than that. I do like the adjustable stock, the adjustable cheek rest. I don't need it. Once you set this scope directly on the top of the rifle, you can drop that cheek rest down. You're not going to use it. I suppose I could put some see-through mounts on here, and I could be able to drop down, close range. That's always a big thing. It's always been a big thing to me, is if I can't see something through a scope or I can't find it through the scope, I'll drop down to the iron sights. And I could put a little titty on here, and then put a pin, mill out a pin or something for see-through mounts, and have iron sights. It's okay. I don't like the fill chamber. It's like a gauntlet. It's got the deal that I'm just leave it in there. I got to be careful. I've got tanks, and I'm going to designate one tank, probably a scuba tank, for 3,000, because the scuba regulator is at 3. So I'll probably do that. And then I've got just a breathing apparatus, SCBA, standard firefighters tanks, and they're all 4,500. They're for the other stuff. I did the same thing on here. I actually had to get a QD adapter for the pick rail on the side. I don't like the 3 pick rail, but it's okay, I guess. It's fine. And then I put the adapter on here for the QD so I could go with this Magpul Gen 3 Rev 2, I think. It's Gen 3. The Gen 4 will not work. It doesn't work with shit. And then I took another one of these Velcro rings. These are handy. I think I might have bought a half a dozen of them. Pretty handy. And then that paraclip goes right on there. You can carry it. Again, it's heavy, but this spot right here kind of rubs your thigh when you're carrying it. But it does work. I will always go with the Magpul Gen 3. It is very affordable and very comfortable and very easy to adjust. Anything else on this? The hammer pull. So the trigger is, I would bet, 10 pounds. Every bit of it. I'm not lying, man. The trigger pull is heavy. Heaviest trigger pull I've ever fucked with on a rifle. It's brutal. I don't know if there's a break-in period or not. I don't think it'll change. I wish Hatsan would have done what Western done and went with the hammerless air valve system. So much better. So much better. That Western Sidewinder is the sweetest thing you can imagine. It's a close second. My Ruger RPR has that precision adjustable trigger on it. All Ruger RPRs have that trigger system. And it's about 1.5 pounds. Sweet, sweet deal. I also have a Swedish with a competition trigger. I think it's somewhere between 2, 3, maybe. I don't think it's 4, but it's very nice. Very nice. Much better than factory stuff. Those competition triggers are the bomb. Why they couldn't go with something like this, I don't know. I don't know the science in here as far as the spring, the hammer spring, and the trigger pull and all that. I got to tell you a story though. I was at my buddy's place. We were shooting, and we had I don't know, probably a 1x12 or a 2x12 set up on some sawhorses, and we had everything laid out there. And I got this thing out, and I finally got it zeroed in. We were hitting 60 yards. We were on the nuts, dead nuts. I was like, okay, we're ready. And I flipped it into full auto. He had his phone sitting on that bench. And I pulled the trigger, and this thing said, "Brrr, brrr," and his phone immediately turned on and said, emergency, dialing emergency. And it called 911. I don't know if it was a vibration on the table or the sound of this in full auto mode, but it was an exciting moment, I guess you could say. We were not very comfortable with a phone dialing 911 without any real prompt, other than something that we didn't choose. But anyway, yeah, that was an exciting moment. I'm not going to make any adjustments to this thing. I've watched plenty of videos, and they're saying like the newer ones are not adjustable back here on the hammer spring. I don't know. I'm not going to touch it. It's dead nuts, and I'm happy with it. I don't know whether I'm going to put a larger scope on it, something with a different field of view maybe. But that the only real true negative is this guy. This is bad. So if you buy a Blitz if you buy any rifle with this thing, this contraption on top of it, take the fucking thing off, man. Just take it off, because it's not going to do you any good. You're going to fight. You'll get it zeroed in. You'll be like, oh, this thing's perfect. And then you'll pick it up and shoot it again, and it'll be way the fuck off. It'll still group. I'm sure it'll still group, but you're going to be way the fuck off. So don't fall for it. Just take it off and put you some rings on here, like any decent guy would. Anything else? I just don't know. Like I say, a 3,000 psi gun. You can buy them refurbished. Maybe buy a refurbished one, save yourself another $100. I don't know. They're supposed to be coming out with a bullpup. They have the bullpup version in Great Britain. Why the hell don't they have it here? and I'm just now in my world of bullpups. I'm getting there. Definitely not perfect though. This is an expensive project for an SK, and the trigger is going to be up here, and you got a rod going back here, but you also have a magazine right in here, so it's a challenge. The design that they had is not good enough, so I'm going to go with something like maybe a brake line or something, and tuck it in back there. I may have to smash it. Brass is too flexible, so I have to be steel. But I just don't know yet. I don't know. If you got any tips for me, please let me know, because this thing, the trigger stretch mechanism, just not what I want it to be. Not what I want it to be. I'll figure it out though. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the little breakdown of the Blitz. Now, remember, you cannot put a moderator on this barrel. This barrel is, the tube is designed for the blowback. So you've got a little hole up here, and it pressurizes this thing. It's got a spring, and it kicks it back to a set of gears back here, and that's what operates the action. So you cannot fuck with this barrel. I mean, if you want to take the barrel off, disassemble it, polish the barrel, and get a better zero, it actually shoots pretty good. I don't know that I want to polish this barrel, because it really does shoot really well. 60 yards, I'm chewing the center out of the target, so I'm pretty happy with it. But if you have to, you have to. And they do have somebody that said that they can take this off, and they've been able to put a moderator onto this barrel, onto this tube. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if you want to go down that road and you want to experiment with it, go right ahead. But just remember, you're going to avoid any kind of warranty you got. Other than that, man, make sure you get the taller scope mounts, because when you put the magazine in, your scope needs to be up just a little bit, or it's going to interfere with that magazine. Okay, so I don't remember what these are. These are, I can't tell you. Are they 20 millimeter? I think 20 millimeter rise on these. Anyway, just enough to where I can use my cheek rests without having to raise my cheek rest up. I can get a good aperture and squeeze the trigger and hit what I'm aiming for. I promise you that. But other than being on the heavy side, it's a good gun. I'm gonna say it's worth the money, but I haven't put 1,000 rounds into it yet, so we will see. I'm gonna have to definitely spend some time on the bench with this gun and shoot it. But right out of the gate, right out of the box, other than that contraption piece of shit pick rail I got on top, it's a pretty sweet rifle. So if you're on the fence about it, jump off and go to the store and get you one. I think you'll like it. But make sure you got plenty of air. And don't overcharge it. This fucking thing will blow a seal. Do not overcharge it. 3,000 PSI max. Remember that. And if you go big, you go for the Sidewinder, you can bump that up to 4,500. Keep your tanks separate. Keep one tank 3,000 pounds, one tank 4,500. And don't fuck it up. Okay? Be safe out on the range. Have a good week.